It's time for Southern Fried Baseball, presented by College Baseball Central. Hosted by Jake McKeever as he talks everything SEC baseball and more.
Welcome back, College Baseball Central fans. We are here the morning after day one of the MLB draft. Ton of surprises, ton of intrigues. Before we jump into it, everybody that I think was picked today is 100% going in the draft. A lot of those teams that were kind of sweating it towards the back end of this draft. We're going to talk about that. Who's the biggest winners, losers. But first, Andrew, how are we doing today?
Oh, we're doing good. We're living the dream. The MLB draft's finally here. We're finally going to talk about a bunch of college kids we got to watch this year and a bunch of high school kids that we sadly are not going to be able to watch play at the NCAA level because they'll be living out their dreams playing pro ball.
Yeah, it was a fun one. Obviously, some of the guys that were fringe towards the bottom half of this draft are likely going. Cruz Schoolcraft going to the Padres. He's likely going to sign there. Every one of those Corona kids that were committed various places. Andrew, before we jump into it, what team do you think lost the most from a college standpoint tonight?
I think easily LSU and Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee losing Steele Hall right off the bat. Steele Hall went 9th overall to the Reds, and then also losing Cruz Schoolcraft to the San Diego Padres. I thought Schoolcraft could have fallen a little because I heard his number was a little outrageous, but it looks like the Padres might cave into those demands, or not demands, but cave into his number. But LSU also losing a lot of guys in the back half of the draft. Obviously you lose Cade Anderson. There was some talk of Chase Shores coming back, maybe, but that looks like it would not be happening. But they lost guys like Jaden Faust, who went to the White Sox, Quentin Young going to the Twins, where his dad also played. Delman Young played there.
So I thought that was his uncle, by the way.
Or his dad's Dwellin. His dad's Dwellin Young, who played for the Nationals.
Delwyn,
yeah. And then his uncle is Delman, who played for the Twins.
Yeah, I think Ethan Fry was kind of the biggest shock to me. I know that he was kind of in that fringe. Can he get enough NIL to come back? You know, where he went, which, by the way, I thought that was cool that he was lifting weights while he was drafted. I don't know if you saw that video.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great kid. I think it's going to be a really good fit for him. I mean, thinking about it, he's not going to be that far from home. I mean, Rose Pine to Houston's probably a couple-hour drive for his family. It's a really good fit for Ethan. Question is, where will they value his bat? As I think his bat could be ready pretty quickly. They drafted him as an outfielder, but he's someone that could play first, third, maybe even get behind the plate and catch a little bit again. But I think his glove could be very good in the outfield as well.
Yeah, that's the thing with these DHs. If you never really know, it's, hey, are you just a DH because you can't play the field, or are you a DH because we have some people that can play the field better? He reminded me a ton of Seth Beer. Do you remember him when he was coming up from Clemson? Yeah. That's who he really kind of drew as a comp for me. Obviously, he's never going to be a glove first guy. His bat's going to be in the outfield or at first base. But, you know, he has enough athleticism, I think, to play. Andrew, let's go look at the top of the draft board, as I think that's where a lot of the biggest shockers go. Eli Wiltz goes 1 to the Nationals. Tyler Bremner goes 2 to the Angels. Cade Anderson goes 3. Just how we drew it up, right?
I think Kylie McDaniel of ESPN said it best. You can burn all your mock drafts now because every mock draft in America was wrong. I think the closest we probably saw was Joe Doyle, who mentioned Tyler Bremner in that three spots to Seattle, as Seattle looked to maybe massively underslot. But they did technically underslot. A little breaking news here. Cade Anderson did sign with Seattle an agreed contract of being reported $8.88 million for his signing bonus. But that's a big win for Seattle, getting Cade Anderson. How do you feel about Eli and and Tyler Bremner going 1 and 2 because I have my feelings.
So I'll say this. I was really high on Eli Willits. You and I talked about this ad nauseum. I'm probably one of the few people that actually got to see Eli Willits because I saw him take BP at OU. I think that this, and I mean this in a very complimentary way to his brother. I think his brother's a fantastic shortstop. Like I said, his brother started as a true freshman at an SEC school and hit third for an SEC school this year, and he's worlds ahead of his brother. You know, his dad, Reggie, played with the Cardinals. That was where we kind of thought the comp was going there. But we had said that he was our favorite prep bat in the draft. And I guess the Nationals agreed. You and I obviously talked to a few guys in a few different front offices. And as soon as he was drafted, a few people text me, they go, yeah, he was at the top of our board. So it's kind of fitting that it seemed like it was this big surprise. Like ESPN showed a graphic of, I think it was like 2% of all mock drafts had Willits going 1. It really doesn't feel like that much of a surprise, all things considered.
I think it's not that big of a surprise. I think it's a bigger surprise because leading up to the draft, you fire Rizzo, you bring in your assistant GM who's more front end on an analytical standpoint. So the analytics would have told you go Cade because Cade is probably the most major league ready, depending on all the sabermetrics you look at. Cade Anderson could probably go out there opening week 2026 and give you 5 solid innings of 2-run baseball already. He's already drawing comparisons to Max Fried. Like Eli Willits, 17 years old, kind of soft reboots your farm system with someone that's not even guaranteed the job after this year. So I just think it's a little bit of an interesting experiment for Willits.
It's an interesting dynamic. I actually talked about it in reference to Ethan Holiday, but I said it allows the Nationals to punt a little bit. Like nobody's going to be mad if a prep bat. I mean, like Drew Jones was 3 years ago, and people still aren't talking about him being a bust. For reference, I mean, you get 3, and Eli Willits is young too. And again, this is very weird to say about the first round pick.
The youngest ever first overall pick, 17 years, 7 months.
He gets 5 years. He gets till 2030 to try and figure it out.
And he said he wants to
he won't celebrate his 18th birthday till December. It tends to bode well, I think, but it was just the shocking thing. And then we'll get into Tyler Bremner. That was the biggest shocker to me because a lot of the analytics-based guys didn't like Bremner. A lot of the eye tests, old school field orgs that are around the big leagues liked Tyler Bremner. But it's almost fitting that the fastest arm in the West stays out West.
Yeah, so the one thing that kind of popped in my head when I saw that Bremner went to the Angels was, they got to see him almost every outing because being out West. But Bremner going 2 is a massive underslot. And it's not even like crazy like to say. You could have gotten the same value with Jamie Arnold. You could have gotten the same value with Kyson Witherspoon at 2. And I think Kyson Witherspoon projects way better than Tyler Bremner. We were talking about the other day how Tyler Bremner right now is a 2-pitch guy. He's a fastball changeup guy. The Angels keep swinging for these pitchers. They keep on swinging with these pitchers. Kane Dana, George Clayson, a bunch of these. Ryan Johnson at DBU last year, he was a good pick. But
remember that one draft where they took just pitchers and they all flopped?
Well, guess what their first 4 picks were today?
Pitchers.
All pitchers. They're trying to, like, it's like the Yankees taking shortstops for some reason in the draft. We'll talk about that later, but it's like they keep on trying to like soft reboot their pitching core, and it just never works. I'm not saying Bremner is not going to pan out, but the Angels' track record with pitchers is telling you this might not work out. And it's like, I don't care if you got to save a pretty penny because Bremner, so the pick value is 10.2 mil. He'll probably sign for about 7 to 8 million from what I've heard.
That feels even high. I know that we had him in the 20s in our mocks.
I had him at 11 to Oakland. And Oakland probably is. I need to see who Oakland took, but I think.
I mean, last year they went with Ryan Johnson, and Ryan Johnson was a starter with a bullpen mechanic, and Tyler Bremner's a starter who never started for UCSB. I mean,
it was
this is a kid that was probably the highest rated recruit UCSB's had forever. I remember doing mock-ups, and granted, I'm never going to question why a kid goes somewhere, but I remember thinking, I was like, this kid seems like he could get a better offer than UCSB.
Yeah.
Sophomore, he's that weird, hey, he's our Sunday guy, but if we need him Saturday, he'll pitch Saturday. And then this past year, which I should say this, I know we're very harsh on Tyler Bremner. I went and watched his starts at the back half of the year. He was a lot better. He started relying on his fastball a lot more. His fastball had a lot more run to it. A lot of the stuff early season when he was playing kind of that better competition, if you will, was subpar. So it's going to be really interesting to see which Tyler Bremner we get.
But the thing is, from my eye test, because I've watched a bunch of Bremner's outings this year, why not, if you're going to go Bremner at 2, why not go Kyson? Kyson is miles better than Bremner is right now. Kyson has 3 pitches that he can go to right now. He's got a fastball, curveball, slider, and he can show off his changeup. Those are 4 pitches that Kyson can go and throw against major league hitters right now. And he did it in
a good fastball. I think Kyson's fastball is even better than Bremner.
Yes, it explodes out of his hand. Bremner, he's a 2-pitch guy. He's a fastball, changeup reliant guy. If the Angels are seeing anything, if anything, it's a middle relief guy. A middle relief back in the bullpen guy where it's like, okay, you can come in, flash fastball, execute the changeup, quick outs. Quick outs, we win ball games. Bremner he didn't show quality starting material in a bunch of his outings.
What's your comp for him? Because we saw Michael Walk on the Bleacher Report draft guide. What is your comp for him?
Michael Walk is kind of fitting actually now that you say it, because he does have that lengthy arm motion and he does attack with the fastball changeup. So he is more of a north-south guy, not an east-to-west kind of pitcher like some guys are nowadays. I like the Michael Walk, but I would also say kind of not even an Adam Wainwright, but Chris Carpenter, if you remember him with the Cardinals. Just a big, fastball up, change up down kind of guy. He can mix in the slider here and there, but it's
You know what he reminds me of? And this is not a comp, if you will. He reminds me of what 80% of the guys that throw the 6th and 7th inning for major league teams as the righty platoon. He just feels very boring is the right word to describe it. That feels weird to say about a guy who throws 96. But it's just a very, we'll give him an inning. He'll have an ERA probably around 4. Never going to be an all-star.
So the thing is with that, it's you say 96, so it's oh, that's not boring. 96 is the new normal. Guys that are throwing 98, 99, 100 consistently, that's oh, that's very cool. That's the outrageous stuff. Like Liam Doyle. That's going to be outrageous, really cool stuff.
It's exciting stuff. Probably the non-biggest surprise here is Ethan Holiday goes 4 to the Rockies. It's a place where his dad played. Good pick by them. Safe pick. It's going to win the press conference if nothing more.
Well, so I was thinking this. The Rockies are kind of building themselves a nice little farm system down there. You bring in Jackson Holiday, who will instantly become their number 1 prospect. But in the majors, or not in the majors, in your prospects, you have Charlie Condon, who played in the Futures game today or yesterday. You have Zach Veen. You have Drew Romo. You have Jared Thomas. You have all these bats on the way. You have Benny Montgomery on the way. You have a bunch of guys that are on the way right now that in a year or 2, the Rockies could be making some noise in that lineup. Because I think Holiday is going to be an easy 25 to 30 home runs at Coors Field.
When did they trade for Brody Brecht?
They drafted him.
I don't remember
Or
that.
no. He
I
was
thought
with
the Mets drafted Brody Brecht.
Did he?
Am I crazy?
No, the Mets did draft him. Oh. No. Trying to think who they.
I don't know why I thought it was the Mets. I just looked it up. Yeah, it was
No,
them.
yeah,
But I mean, that's a very safe pick.
Yeah. I thought that Condon's won. They'll make trades at the deadline to bring in more prospects too. So
I think it's a good safe pick. We'll move on to number 5. And I know that we had Willits going to the Cardinals. We said that was going to be a big steal of the draft. But to get Doyle at 5, I think is another big steal because, granted, this is a very what-if scenario. But if LSU gets eliminated by Little Rock, I think Liam Doyle goes 1-1. Like, I think he had that good of stuff. Obviously, he kind of struggled down the backstretch against Arkansas. Was really the only team that really had his number. Unfortunately, that was his last start of the regular season and his last start of the postseason, and it really drove him down a ton of notches. But this is a guy that was a finalist for, the Golden Spikes Award. He's a fantastic, fantastic pitcher. I mean, you and I listened to Jay Johnson say it was the best pitcher that they had faced since Louder. We talked to the hitters. They said the ball explodes off of it. He has a really, really good slider. This is another one where it's like a steal of the draft.
I talked to Jay Johnson about the difference of facing Zach Root, someone that's like mid-90s with a sinker with a good curveball, than facing Liam Doyle. He's like, Root's curveball is very good, and it looks like it's coming north-south, but it's really coming at like a northwest-south, northwest to like southeast kind of plane. So he attacks like very good side to side. Doyle, we saw firsthand, he just attacks up and down. He goes up and down, fastball up, everything else down, and it was just very elite for him to watch. And he joins a very good Cardinals, very good Cardinals pitching repertoire now. I mean, Quinn Matthews, the former Stanford ace, Michael McGreevy, who's going to be up this year, Tink Hence, if Tink Hence ever figures it out. It feels
Cooper Jerpy's another one.
Yeah, it's like they got a couple good arms on the way. I mean, Tink Hence is like a quadruple A guy, feels like it sometimes. He's going to be if he can ever figure it out, he's going to be really good. Doyle's going to be very good. Chen Wei Lin is another guy that he's showed some promise. I've watched him a couple times here in Palm Beach. But Liam Doyle's a guy that can go throw in a major league bullpen tomorrow. And
here's the one thing that I think he needs to work on, and if we're talking about being really, really harsh on somebody, his fastball usage was extremely high. It was the most used pitch if he's a major league pitcher. Obviously, that's going to be something that he needs to have to work on, as you can't just throw. His fastball is not that good when it comes to just being able to use it. That's going to be something that he's going to need to work out. But again, he's a bulldog. He's somebody that you want in your bullpen. He's a grinder.
He's someone I would not be shocked if – I got to check standings because I haven't really looked at the standings. If the Cardinals desperately needed help, the Cardinals are 6.5 games out. If the Cardinals are fighting for a wild card spot late in the season, I could see Liam Doyle being the first player, kind of like a Kyle Finnegan, or was it? No, it wasn't Kyle Finnegan.
Brandon Finnegan.
Brandon Finnegan with the Reds.
David Price with the Rays was a really fast-moving guy.
I could see Doyle throwing major league pitches this year.
That'll be interesting. We'll move on to the Pirates, who I think kind of shocked a bunch of people with going with Seth Hernandez. I mean, Seth Hernandez was, without a doubt, probably the most polarizing prospect. There were some people that had him at 1 on their boards. Some people had him not even in their top 30. The Pirates and their proven track record of being able to find pitchers, I think, really comes to fruition here. But here's an interesting fact, Andrew. What is the most bustable position in the draft? Is it college first baseman, prep pitchers?
Pitcher.
It's prep right-handed pitchers. It is the worst hit rate of anything in the draft. So the Pirates are taking a big, big risk taking somebody like this. But again, they have Jared Jones. I wouldn't attribute Paul Skeens' success to the Pirates. But
So this is the Pirates are going to be very good next year or in 2 years from a pitching standpoint. The question is, will they ever be able to score runs for these pitchers? I don't know if you saw that record where if Paul Skeens got average run support, he would be, I think, like 40 and like 8, something. It's like a crazy stat. But we're talking about a guy that is joining a loaded, and I mean a loaded Pirates system. I mean, Bubba Chandler's on the way. He'll pitch sometime this year. Hunter Barco, he'll be ready for next year. Thomas Harrington, he might throw this year. Levi Sterling's coming. Xander Muth is coming. Seth Hernandez is a guy, in my opinion, you can stick him in Double-A today and have him ready to go by the back end of next year, 2027. That's how good of an arm he is. The question is, in Pittsburgh, will he pan out in that farm system? Because they also have a track record of some guys just not like developing.
They don't have a good track record. They have a good track record of picking prep arms. They don't have a good track record of first-round pick hits. I think their biggest hit outside of Skeens in the last 15 years is what? Connor Joe.
What? Connor Joe?
That's how bad. Go look.
I mean, Mitch Keller's been okay.
Was Mitch Keller a first-rounder?
Yeah, he was like 5th overall. I think, yeah.
Let me see. Because I know Key Brian Hayes was a compensatory pick, so he doesn't count. I mean, it's still pretty early on Connor Griffin, too. I should say that Connor Griffin's.
I think Connor Griffin should have won to LSU. That's just me, though.
So since they took Garrett Cole 15 years ago, Mark Appel, Meadows, Reese McGuire, Cole Tucker, Connor Joe was a compensatory pick, Kevin Newman, Will Craig. I mean, Shane Baz is doing stuff for other teams.
Yeah.
Swaggerty, Hogland, Quinn Priester, who again is doing stuff for other teams.
Other teams.
Nick Gonzalez, Henry Davis.
I guess Nick Gonzalez. They kind of hit on Gonzalez. He's saying like 275.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. And then Connor Griffin, obviously it's too early. But, I mean, I don't hate it from the Pirates. I think the Pirates had one of the sneaky underrated drafts. I've Arquette links to the Marlins. This just felt like a wet dream. Like, I know that you talked to some people in the Marlins who after said we really liked him and we didn't think he would fall to us at 7.
So it's like everyone I talk to about the Marlins, it's like prep bats. Peter Bendick loves his prep bats. And I'm like, okay, like I mocked Billy Carlson. I mocked JoJo Parker. And then the first 6 picks come out and it's like, whoa, they might actually go Arquette here. Obviously I didn't blow up their phones as they were making the pick. But when I saw, when I finally got the text, hey, it's Arquette, I thought it was a perfect fit. The question is he going to play shortstop for the Marlins? I've heard some talk that some teams have valued his glove at other positions, at third base, at shortstop, at second base. Or not at second base, really, just on the left side of the infield. I think his bat is going to be very special. It's going to develop a little bit more. The one thing for Arquette, this is a kid that has spent the last couple years in the Northwest region. How is he going to react to living in Florida? All of a sudden, you're going from Corvallis to...
Is it Washington before that?
Yeah, Washington to Corvallis to...
I'll say this, because he's a big 6'5" guy. Obviously, he's going to draw the comps to O'Neal Cruz or Ellie De La Cruz. He feels a little bit more sound. I don't know how to explain it, but he feels like an Americanized version of those two players. He's a lot more reserved. I mean, even when I talked to him in Omaha, he's a lot quieter.
Yeah.
I see him more as, I know that you and I have used this comp a ton, but the Bregman third baseman. of the athletic Gold Glove.
He didn't strike out that much this year, and I don't think that's going to translate to the big leagues like it did with Elly De La Cruz or O'Neal Cruz. Like, I think Arquette's going to just be a composed hitter. It's just going to be very interesting to see if it pans out in Miami, because they're also another place where it's like they don't pan out. There's a reason.
Peter Bendix, though. That is the one thing to kind of keep in mind.
If there's one guy that if I ever wanted to work for in the major leagues, it's Peter Bendix. That guy is one of the smartest executives in all of college, or not in college baseball, just all in baseball.
He obviously sees something in Ivan Arquette. We'll breeze through these next three guys as they're all prep ones. JoJo Parker goes to the Blue Jays. His brother is still on the board. Steele Hall goes at 9 to the Reds. I thought that was a little bit of a surprise as we had him about 3 picks lower. Billy Carlson slides to 10 at the White Sox. What do you think of those three? Because those three, I feel like, for better or for worse, those three guys are going to be constantly comped to. That one of those three, I feel like, is going to hit, and the other two are going to be like, oh, like we could have got so-and-so at this spot.
So it's like, I talked to a couple teams about this. It's like, yeah, we had all those guys like in different orders. It's like everyone had Willits 1, Holiday 1, or Holiday 1, Willits 1, like some combination of those 1 and 2. Then like JoJo, Steele, and Billy, it was like those were just different. 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. I think I had Carlson over JoJo, but JoJo's swing from the left side is very good. I think that Toronto kind of just builds that part. It's like we see a lot that he can do in this ballpark. Steele Hall's a little bit of an interesting one. He is the fastest guy in the draft. So it's just...
He hit like a 3.9.
I find it interesting that like Cincinnati is going shortstop here, because it's like it's weird looking at the draft and then you look at the big league roster. It's like, oh, they have Elly De La Cruz. He's having a phenomenal year. He's hitting like 280. Like, how are they? And they're also loaded. Like, they just drafted last year Sammy Staffra from, or not, oh my God, 3 years ago. Sammy Staffra was a prep guy they took from New York. Edwin Arroyo, he's someone they took. Like, they're kind of loaded up on shortstop and like just infielders.
Cam Collier's at third and is about to come up too.
Yeah, Cam Collier, Stewart.
I should say this about the Reds. Probably more than any other team, they value age a ton in their models. I think that went into it. Obviously, the elite speed, I think, is another thing. I think the bat really came along later because it wasn't a very good bat this time last year.
I think I'm just a little shocked. I thought they would have valued pitching, because it seems like pitching for the Reds is just going in the right direction. You get Jace Burns. You have Brett Lauder coming up. If you added someone like Kyson Witherspoon, who should have been, or who was available at that spot, if you add Kyson or Jamie Arnold, like we're talking about in a year or two, the Reds having like probably one of the best rotations in all of baseball.
We'll skip over Jamie Arnold just because Gavin Feen is another guy that was a prep guy. Texas commit. A lot of people, including those that represent him, had him later first round. He goes a little bit higher. They think he's going to be a third baseman or move into the outfield. But, I mean, he's got a really, really high ceiling.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fitting that he's going to end up playing in the place that he should have been going to college.
Yeah, he's playing for Texas, just like we thought.
Yeah, so I really like this fit actually for Texas because of his bat. His bat is very big in my opinion. He's someone that is going to hit 20 to 25 home runs at ballpark. It just stinks he's not going to be able to he's someone that's going to also have like a 4 to 5 year just like development period that could have easily been cut down to like 2 years if you went to Texas, in my opinion. But the thing is,
the weird thing though about it is, we talked about this because we talked to a few people that represent agents and everything. Where does he play at Texas? I feel like this is so weird.
Like, he wouldn't have played his freshman year. he could have been someone that was put on that DSA list where it's like, you can't transfer. You're just going to be one of our 6 red shirts.
That's what he really, and again, it's not to say that he's not talented, but
it's just Texas is loaded.
Yeah, and like he's not beating out Timo right now. I mean, obviously he will in like a year and a half if he gets into a program. But that's the one thing is I think that the agents did a really good job of expressing to their clients that I can think of 3 guys off the top of my head without even really thinking that hard of guys that went to college, hurt their draft stock, and 3 years later, they're getting picked in the hundreds.
I mean, one of them went number 2, Jake, so Tyler Bremner was supposed to go number 1 in this draft 3 years ago, and he falls down to projected 11 to 30, and he somehow went number 2. And he'll get paid like he just got picked 11. So
we skipped him. Jamie Arnold goes 11 to the Las Vegas Athletics or whatever you want to call them. He was another guy that was really supposed to be a top 5 pick. Had not as disappointing as like a Cam Canarella, Jay Slavolette, but I felt like people talked about him so much, and he kind of returned to his mean a little bit. At the end of the day, he's a low 90s guy with 5 pitches, which is going to play. Like I really like Jamie Arnold. It's just a long motion.
It's his fastball. So I think something that the A's will probably do with him is work on the arm slot. His arm slot is like a very weird, like 3/4 right here.
Yeah, and it creeps above his shoulder.
Yes. So his arm slot, they're going to work on hiding the ball and tunneling his pitches through that low arm slot. Because the fastball, low to mid-9s, it's going to play. It's a funky motion. It's a very funky, whippy, kind of Randy Johnson motion, just it's not upper 90s. He's got 5 pitches. I said on a former employee's tweet today, if you told me that Jamie Arnold was falling to the A's, I would have laughed in your face and told you the A's got a steal. And I'm going to stand by that statement. Jamie Arnold should have been a top 6 pick.
Yeah, if they don't value a ton of these prep shortstops, if it's just college kids, he is in that spot. Another guy that really we were all over the board with, Gavin Keelan, the second baseman from Tennessee, goes to the San Francisco Giants. We had them taking Aloy here at some points. We had them going prep shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be which Gavin Keelan do you get? Are you going to get the Gavin Keelan that I saw in Houston that hit 4 home runs at a major league park? Or is it going to be the guy that struggled at the Cape Cod League hitting with wood bat and battled hamstring injuries in the SEC tournament? He did play short for Tennessee, but that was more out of necessity, not because of fit. He was the second baseman out of camp.
Yeah.
What do you make of this?
I think it's a good fit. Thinking lefty hitter, lefty ballpark. This is going to be a very good comp. It's like, a lot of splash hits in your future. Yeah, it's going to be reliant on how he hits with the wood bat. It's much different to face 95 with a metal bat that has so much pop, and then you adjust to wood bat and you can't hit in one of the best college baseball leagues against pitchers that are getting drafted right now. I think it's going to be an okay fit. I was shocked to see him go to San Fran. I thought he would have been a little bit lower. I thought Aloy would have gone here, but I guess Aloy fell so much. I was shocked about that, but I think it's an okay fit. I think it's a kind of interesting character fit too. So,
yeah, that's I think the one thing that we're really going to have to track with him. We'll move over Daniel Pierce really quick, just because I'm going to be honest, that's not our wheelhouse with anything like that. Kyson Witherspoon goes to the Red Sox. We had him as the number 1 right-handed pitcher. We had him as high as 10th. When he pitches against good teams, he's really freaking good. And I think that's the one thing that really stands out to me.
So it's scary if you look at the Red Sox draft picks. They probably had one of the best drafts out of everyone, and it started with Kyson Witherspoon falling all the way down to 15. And it's not even like a massive like underslot because they're just going to pay every one of the pitchers they drafted today. But like Kyson Witherspoon is it's crazy that this the number 15 overall pick, and he's probably not going to headline the Red Sox rotation with Garrett Crochet, but it's like Kyson Witherspoon's going to be so freaking good for the Red Sox. And I hate saying that as a Yankees fan.
I really liked Henry Godbout at 75. I think there was a tremendous value. Ianson fell a little bit to the Red Sox too as well. Phillips,
that's like
he's kind of a weird one. We'll talk about that when we're.
That's 3 like SEC pitchers that dominated all year long. That's 3 SEC pitchers that dominated.
I think it was a great draft, and it really did start at the top. He got his walks down a ton, and the craziest thing to me about Kyson Witherspoon, I think I've said this to you multiple times, is this is a kid who hit under 200 as a junior and threw 11 innings. And 4 years later, he went top 15. His twin brother, who had an offer to Jacksonville and was drafted, he goes, multiple rounds in front of him. Just an unreal job to transform his body. He's a really, really hard worker. He's in a great system in Oklahoma. And that's what happens is you get a guy who goes 15th overall.
Yeah, I mean, he's worked his ass off to get to this point, and he's like, this is going to be such like steal in what, like, in a few years, like, it's going to be a steal. Easy.
Yeah. Probably one of the biggest surprises for us is we were both down on Merrick Houston. He goes 16 to the Twins. They talked about it on the MLB draft show that I was watching. 354, 16 home runs. Look a little closer at that. A lot of that was because of playing at Wake Forest. Last summer at the Cape is where he really kind of struggled to display his power. He's a good fielder. I comped him Adam Frazier, and you kind of made fun of it. But what do you think of this pick from the Twins?
I think it's a terrible pick because they have Kalen Culpepper, who they just drafted last year or 2023. I can't remember. They have Kalen Culpepper, who's a pretty good shortstop. They have Kyle DeBarge, a water hose boy from UL. He's very good. They have Billy Amick, very good. Rain Don Khan, very good. They have a very loaded infield class, and it's like, what are you trying to do here with Merrick Houston? I'm not high on him. I think he's a very good glove. It's a very good glove, and he's just I don't think the hitting translates. And it's just a weird fit too.
This feels like a kid that's just going to hang around a big league staff as like that's going to get traded a ton, like Adam Frazier. I really didn't like it, but again, you can't really go wrong with a kid who has his glove. Even if he hits 220, I think he's a good pick. Arizona, I think, bucked a little bit of trends here as they go. Kason Cunningham, the 5'7" guy who looks a lot bigger than 5'7". One of the older prep prospects as he's about to turn 19. I feel like we've been talking about him since he was like 14 years old, though. He's already 19. Yeah. It was they're going to have a ton of leverage with him as I don't think he wants to go to Texas in terms of just being old. What'd you make of this pick? This did not feel like a Diamondbacks pick. This felt like when they reached for Drew Jones a few years ago.
I kind of went – I found it crazy that, one, they didn't go catcher because it feels like they lack that in their farm system. Like with either of their picks, they had 14 or they had 18 and then 31 or 18 and 29, and they didn't take the guys that like a bunch of people were thinking. I like Cunningham as a hitter, but I really like this fit. I think it's a very solid fit. I think he's also someone that it's not going to be like a 3-4 year development plan for him. I think it's a 1 to 2 year development plan with him. I think he is a little bit more college ready.
He feels like the most college high school kid, if that makes sense.
Like he is someone that is going to go in and like they could start him off at like high A and then have him just breeze through the minor leagues.
Yeah, he's He really excelled, I think, at the draft combine too as well. I see him as more of a second baseman. He's got a little bit more pop. He reminds me a ton of Drew Burress with his swing. I know that Drew Burress is obviously an outfielder and right-handed, but that's who he kind of reminds me of. We'll move on to probably the least shocking pick of the draft. The Baltimore Orioles went college outfielder. I know that he's listed as a catcher, but he's not a catcher. Ike Irish. There's some injury concerns. There is some concerns with his fielding, and really his ability to hit for power, as he has kind of a long in the zone swing. But this feels like anti Vance Honeycutt from last year.
No, this is a very good bounce back pick for the Orioles, in my opinion. I thought Irish was one of the better college bats in this draft, and I was a little shocked to see him fall down to 19. But that's the way this draft just kind of fell. Where if you are an agent talking to your advisees and be like, hey, like next year, like I'm just telling my kids not to look at mock drafts. Like anything can happen now with these picks.
Wasn't he a top 5 pick in some of those mocks?
He was projected to go to the Reds. Like literally every mock draft that I kind of read through today, it was like
I meant last summer, when they did the way too earlys.
Top 10. But it's just I guess all of our just info's just a bunch of crap. But I mean, I like this fit for Baltimore. It's a lefty swing that can go to all parts of the ballpark, especially in a weird ballpark like Camden Yards. I think he'll play well there. I don't think he's going to be a big 20 to 25 home run guy. I think he's going to be a big 15 to 20 home runs, 80 to 85 RBIs with a lot of doubles. So I really like the fit for Baltimore if it does pan out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Granted, we say this all the time that the MLB draft, you don't draft on holes at the big league level. But where is he going to play?
Yeah. I mean, I think it also goes back to my point I made the other day. Baltimore is going to be cutting some ties with some of the outfielders they have. That's what I've heard. So I think Irish is a guy that I don't think he ends up catching. I don't think he really plays that much outfield. I see him as a DH, corner outfield. Maybe they move him to first base.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Right behind him, another big surprise, Andrew Fisher goes 20 to the Brewers. I had him at 27 to the Indians. This felt like a little bit of a reach, but there's not a lot of people in front of him in Milwaukee. They have Blake Burke at first, who they took last year, who the early returns on him are good. Brock Wilken, who they thought that they could maybe move to first, has looked really athletic at third. This is a guy that got on base every single game in the SEC. Probably one of the biggest snubs in terms of Golden Spikes awards. I mean, sticking to it, 341, 3-time transfer. Tom Walter, loves him, allegedly. But I loved this pick. I felt like Fisher was going to be a steal if the Indians could get him down at 27.
Yeah, I didn't have Fisher going in the first round. I don't know where they value Fisher's glove, but his swing could remind me a lot of Prince Fielder's swing back in the early Brewers days with him. It's a big, violent lefty swing that could easily hit 30 to 35 home runs in that ballpark very easily.
Yeah, and this is one of those ones where I think he's either going to never get above high A or he's going to be in the big leagues, and there'll be no in between. This is not a kid that's going to sit at AAA for very long. We'll move on to another prep guy. Xavier Nayans goes with the Astros. He had an okay showcase circuit. I was a little bit surprised that they went here, as I thought that they were going to go college bat like they had kind of become accustomed to with Bryce Matthews, Walker Yannick last year. What'd you think of this?
I think it's a safe bet because you kind of do need to reload on your high school system for the Astros. I thought they were going to go college here too, but they do have some guys that are going to be coming up in the majors, possibly getting moved, in the next year or two because their ETAs are 2025, 2026. So I think it's a nice little reset for them. I like this fit.
I mean, this is a team that never keeps prospects.
I thought Daniel Pierce was going to fall to the Astros at 21, but I had him going to the Rays today in my latest mock. But I thought this is a very good pick for them.
Yeah, I really liked it. We'll breeze through these next three, as these were probably the three biggest surprises of the draft. So shout out whatever you want to talk about. Tate Southsea from the Braves goes at 22. Sean Gamble goes to the Royals. And Hayden Yost's little brother, Jordan Yost, goes 24 to the Tigers, along with Cruz Schoolcraft at 25 to the Padres. I'll start. The Cruz Schoolcraft one was the biggest surprise to me just due to their bonus pool.
Yeah, I think that's the one that I'm probably going to want to talk about. The Padres didn't have that much money in their pool, and it seemed like Cruz was asking for a lot. I think the Padres are willing to give him his money. The other picks are just they happened. They're interesting picks. But Schoolcraft, this is someone that is going to be. He's very lengthy, 6'8", 229. He doesn't look like he's 229 pounds. He looks like he's 150 wet. So I think he's gonna do very good in that San Diego pitching development center. Someone that we're about to talk about, I agree. So they're going to be in good hands. That's my statement on Cruz Schoolcraft.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about Jordan Yost. I don't know a ton about him. I thought it was a little bit of a reach. He was a very, very late bloomer as I went back and looked at some mock drafts, and he's not even in the top 100 on a lot of these. I think Florida actually expected him to make it to campus when I talked to a few of the guys around there.
Yeah.
But, the Tigers and these Kevin McGonagalls, these high school bats, they just always seem to find value.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the two biggest projects. Gage Wood at 26 from Arkansas and Jace Lovell at 27 to the Guardians. Which one of these do you think is going to ignore their negatives and make it and turn into a big leaguer? Because they both have some pretty big negatives. You think it's Gage Wood?
I think they shut him down for the rest of this year because of his arm injuries, and I think it's going to kind of work out perfectly. Zach Wheeler says that he probably only will play 2 more years in the pros. He said he wants to retire by 2037 if that's a guarantee, or 2027 if that's a guarantee. I don't know. Gage Wood's someone that he doesn't need a lot of work. He's someone that did deal with an injury this year, but when he is at his best, we see it. We saw it against Murray State. I don't care if Murray State went 0-2 in barbecue in Omaha. Gage Wood mowed down that lineup. And Gage Wood has that potential to go and do that against big league teams, in my opinion. If the velo can stay at about 95, 96, hitting 97, 98 at times, that plays well. The curveball plays well. It's a very
slider.
No. He doesn't throw a slider. He throws a curveball. But according to MLB.com, he throws both. I think if he develops the slider a little bit more, if he can have something that moves up and down and then have the slider or a cutter, that something sharp and moves hard at right to left, it's going to be he's going to be a very good pitcher. And knowing some people that have worked in the Phillies pitching development side of things, he's in very good hands. This is a match made in heaven, in my opinion. I had the Phillies going Matthew Fisher, a prep pitcher, because I know the Phillies like their prep pitchers as well, but this is a match made in heaven. Jace Lavalette, on the other hand, I don't even think it's that big an experiment. I just think he had a down year. I think the strikeout numbers are a bit of a concern, but this is a steal, if anything. This is a steal. This is a guy that should have been picked top 10 if you look at his potential.
Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit. I'll talk about Gage Wood first. My comp for him is Cade Horton as a prep guy. Obviously not Cade Horton now. I I watched his start against Texas, and I watched his start against Texas A&M when he got chased in the first inning, and he only threw fastballs. And then 3 weeks later, he plays Texas, and he's one of the best pitchers in the country. He, for lack of a better term, he gives a shit. Like, he works his ass off. This is a guy that, wanted to pitch at Arkansas, and when he got to Arkansas, he's like, okay, I have a new dream now. I want to pitch in the major leagues. The fastball is extremely, extremely good. The only concern is obviously the durability, as he, lost a few starts to a shoulder injury. I think he was injured as a high schooler too. I found an article that said that. I couldn't find another one that said it. But if he can pitch like he did against Texas, because I think he was actually better against Texas than he was against Murray State, which again feels weird to say. Yeah. I think that you're talking about a guy that headlines, a back end of a bullpen.
Yeah, and that's another interesting thing. I don't know whether the Phillies want to use him as a starter or a reliever, because he's done both in college. I think he shows promise with both, though.
And for Jace Lavalette, obviously every single person talked about his strikeout numbers tonight. Every single person talked about how he was the lowest rated batting average since they started tracking batting average in the MLB draft. And how it's a big, long swing that's not going to work for him. It worked for him last year. There was some kind of adjustment that was made between when Michael Early took over and when the other guy came in and was the hitting coach, and it was a philosophical change. Michael Early is definitely a trust your hitters kind of guy, and Caleb Longley's a ambush. So I think that's more what it was. I think it's another one of those things where you read your press clippings negatively, and it really affected him that way. He didn't have Braden Montgomery protecting him in the lineup. I think that there's a variety of external factors that you can point to about Jace Lavalette. I'm not saying he should have gone top 5. I kind of think he could very easily have a Vance Honeycutt type career, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Jace Lavalette stick in baseball for a long, long time.
Yeah.
That was the first round. We'll go into our team-specific stuff. Andrew, who do you think as a team had the best draft?
I think the team that had the best draft was the Baltimore Cardinals, the Baltimore Orioles, as their next 2 picks. Obviously, they start off with Ike Irish, one of my favorite bats to have watched this year. And then they come back with the 30th and 31st pick, and they come get Caden Bodine, the best catcher in the draft, and then Wahewa Aloy. He's the best player in college baseball this year. Just outstanding power to all parts of the field, and just absolutely ridiculous to watch on the field. I mean, we both got the opportunity to watch him take BP this year, and then got to watch him face some outstanding pitching this year. He just does it all. Another team that I do want to give a quick shout out to are 2 more teams, because they do get a lot of hate. The Miami Marlins had a very, very good draft. Day 1 draft. Arquette, Canarella from Clemson, Brandon Compton, and Max Williams. They're going away from the prep bats. They're saying, what can we have help us now? And Arquette, Canarello, all 4 of the guys they brought on, these are guys that can help within the next 2 to 3 years. My other team, the RIP Oakland Athletics. Jamie Arnold and then Devin Taylor. I had Devin Taylor. I mocked him in the top 20 today because I didn't really hear any buzz about Devin Taylor. I just think Devin Taylor is that good of a ball player. And he didn't get that much recognition because he's at a Big Ten school called Indiana that is more known for basketball. I really love this pick of Devin Taylor to Oakland. And I think this is a kid that earns. He is going to be a star for the A's one day.
I don't hate it. You mentioned Cam Canarella. I think the one thing that's important to remember about him is he had a back injury throughout the entire season.
Yep.
And that was really one of the things his sophomore year. He kind of came back and just didn't have enough pop. I think that's what really kind of drew a lot of people away from him. Is just when I talked to some of the guys too, he's represented by Boris about how he kind of drifted a little bit. I think that's the one thing that he really is going to have to fix at the next level. Some of his angles on fly balls, I think, are another thing. But, I mean, you're talking about an elite guy at the top of the order.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to watch like the Marlins kind of develop now, especially being my like hometown team. So it'd be nice to see some fans. I've texted you and a couple of my buddies about this, just like how sad it is like watching a Marlins game in person, because it's like they are doing like somewhat good now and there's no one there to like recognize it and watch it. So having a guy like Ivar Arquette, Cam Cannarello, who brings – these are guys that bring like a swagger-like coolness of baseball to the game where you can advertise that to your fans to be like, oh, like I want to go watch that. That's what these like picks are also doing as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that really jumps out to me is you really do have to trust Peter Bendix. The two teams that I think really jumped out to me, and you know, they're not really known for having really, really good drafts or even development, is I'll start with the Colorado Rockies. Obviously, you land Ethan Holiday. You get a hometown guy. You don't overthink your draft. JB Middleton, I think, is another guy that really – the numbers didn't do him a ton of justice. I got to watch his start against – who was it? Alabama. Mm-hmm. And he pitched extremely, extremely well. He obviously coming from a small town in Mississippi to Southern Miss wasn't your prototypical path. I really think he's another one. And then Max Ballou, really kind of the story of what if at Texas. Big 12 player of the year as a sophomore, thumb injury, battles illness early February, so he's really only truly healthy for like a couple weeks. He's got a really, really good bat, but I think he has a strong arm that a lot of people don't give him credit for. Just a stereotypical right fielder. They get Ethan Hedges. That was another one that I really liked too as well. And the other one for me is the Kansas City Royals. You know, they get Sean Gamble, who I think they did it to kind of underslot, save a little money. They get Hammond too. But, you know, they get Lampkin at 71. They get Cam, Miller at 97. I think that these are a lot of high-risk, high-reward guys, which, again, if you're the Royals, you probably aren't wanting to bet on. But I really liked some of the arms and players that the Royals took here. I mean, Lampkin reminds me of – they're almost getting a redo with Asa Lacy, who they took top 5 a few years ago and completely flamed out. They mismanaged his development numerous times. One of my buddies with the Scout actually said he was going to write a book about how they mismanaged Asa Lacy. They get a redo with Justin Lampkin. You know, same school, same profile. I really liked what the Royals did today.
I really liked what they did too. I mean, it feels like they were linked for Josh Hammond like this whole week leading up to the draft, and they get him in the prospect promotion incentive round. I think that's going to be a very good fit. Getting him away from going to Wake Forest, I think that's a very good fit in the farm system. I'm going to preach for my guy, Michael Lombardi.
Yeah, I was alley-ooping you.
Yeah, Michael Lombardi, he's just phenomenal. Fastball sits in the mid-upper 90s. I'm very interested to see how they develop him, as they continue to develop him as a starter, because when I talked to Coach Izio and Coach Ullman at Tulane, they both told me numerous times, when this kid is drafted, he is going to be drafted as a starter. And I'm so happy that this kid got drafted in the second round. His fastball plays so well. He's a good north-south guy too. The curveball plays so well off his fastball because the fastball explodes out of his hand. So once you see the curveball out of his hand, you're thinking, okay, fastball up, and no, just bangs right into your knees. It's a very good pitch, and he's just going to get better with time, in my opinion. So I think, I mean, looking at the Royals now, you have Lombardi and Lampkin kind of resetting that pitching prospect line, because they don't really have that many pitchers coming up yet. They got a couple guys coming out next year, but like I think Lombardi and Lampkin are guys that are going to be ready for like beginning of 2027, and that's like the beginning of the Royals window, really, to like go out there and compete.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the one thing to track is just can they develop these guys. Andrew, no one can be considered a bust this early, so I'll word it like this. Who had the riskiest draft?
I mean, you can't say Washington because
I'll give you a little bit of
go,
time because there's one that I have in mind. Cleveland.
Yes.
So we mentioned Jace Lavalette, and again, he's a very boom bust guy. And then they go get another boom bust guy in Nolan Schubart, who again, probably the strongest bat in the draft, but he strikes out 30% of the time. It had a exit velo of 128, and he's just another guy where if you get him at his game, he's fantastic, but he's a long loopy swing that takes a lot to get ready. They take Dean Curley, who is another risky pick. As this time last year, again, we were talking about Dean Curley being one of the first shortstops taken. Goes through a barrage of mental issues and is in and out of the lineup for Tennessee. A Canadian prep pitcher in Will Hines, and then Aaron Walton, which, again, Aaron Walton feels like the safest pick. But, again, at times, you really did worry about his hit tool. Was a lot of it the metal bat. It just feels like 4 risky outfielders or 4 risky college players and a Canadian prep pitcher.
So I agree. Mine, I mean, I feel bad because I feel like I've been ripping on them the whole time, but I'm going with the Angels. I'm actually going to go with 2 teams because one of them just doesn't make sense. I'm going with the Angels, and then I'm going to the Yankees. The Angels, I'm still dumbfounded about going Brebner at 2 when you have Liam Doyle and Cade Anderson available. I mean, I understand underslotting, but then you go to Chase Shores as your 2 pick. It's like, this is a guy that also had command issues this year and kind of figured it out because he was only being used in 1 to 2 inning roles after that, after he lost his starter spot. Johnny Slawinski, he's someone that only has 3 pitches. He's a mid-90s guy, but he still needs a lot of development. Nate Snead is a very, very hard thrower, but he has had times where he can't throw strikes at times. So something you see a lot with these guys that throw hard in college, they tend to lose some of the velo when they first go into pro ball because the first thing that these pitching coordinators are tasked with is make sure this kid can develop into a good athlete and make sure that this kid can develop and not get hurt within his first 3 years of playing. So Chase Shores obviously coming off of Tommy John. I think that's probably the safest pick out of all of them. But just like from a money standpoint and from a talent standpoint at where the pool, the player pool that was available at pick 2, it just made no sense that you didn't go Liam Doyle, Cade Anderson, or even underslotted maybe another prep bat or something. And then the Yankees, I'm just going to you only had 2 picks today, and you went shortstop with both of them. 4 out of the last 10 drafts, the Yankees have used their first-round pick on a shortstop, which is just crazy to me that they keep on trying to bring in all these shortstops, infielders, whatever you want to call them. I mean, the Yankees' top prospect right now is a shortstop. The number 5 prospect is a shortstop. The number 13, shortstop. 19, known shortstop. And it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier. It feels like they're trying to find the next Jeter every draft.
I liked the Kent pick, I should say.
The Kent pick?
I liked the Kent pick. It felt a little high.
It does feel a little high.
Extremely high.
Yes.
I think I'll say this. And Chris Burke mentioned this at one time on the broadcast when they were playing LSU, that he felt like Caden Kent was the player that was going to play the longest in the major leagues who was in that series, right? And
Yes.
I mean, that's a big, big compliment with some of the guys that are on that. But he felt like a under the radar grinder type of guy. That's, oh, boo-hoo, everybody forgot about me. But at 100, I mean, he's going to get a lot of looks, a lot of slot money, a lot of development traits. So it's a good position if you're him. But I mean, with that comes a lot more pressure. And at the end of the day, he's a guy who hit under 280 on a bad SEC team and probably hit near the bottom of the order in SEC play.
Yeah,
All right, Andrew, who was the biggest steal of the draft? These are people that are required after pick 50.
After pick 50. Let's go. I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Orioles getting Joseph Durzwa from Michigan State, the long, lengthy lefty. Actually, both back-to-back picks at 58 and 59. Joseph Durzwa with the Orioles, and then the Brewers going J.D. Thompson. I think those are two phenomenal picks with great upsides for both teams. Those are both lefty, like middle of the rotation, just power arms that will dominate a lot of baseball games.
I actually kind of agree with those. I really liked J.D. Thompson. There were numerous times this season where he looked like the best pitcher in the SEC. What was the start that he had? Was it against OU when he just dominated them?
Thompson.
I'm going to go with two guys here. I'm going to go with Georgia. That's what it was.
Yes.
I'm going to go with two guys here. I'm going to go with Easton Carmichael, going at 82 to the Pirates. I think that he's probably one of the best bats in the draft. Really mature approach. We talked about it with Kason Cunningham about him being mature beyond his years. That's how I really feel about Easton Carmichael. I don't see him sitting as a catcher just because he lost out on that job to Scott Medler. DH, played first. I think he could play corner outfield too as well. And then right behind him, Mason Morris at 83. I mean, you and I talked numerous times about making Mason Morris a starter. And, this is a guy that really was the stopper. When I was doing comps on him, Tom Brady coming out of Michigan. That's my comp for him. He's the baseball version of Tom Brady. He's a guy that gets thrown into the fire. You're like, why doesn't this kid pitch more? He always seems to come in, bailed him out numerous times. And then the Miami native, Griffin Hughes.
I was about
going at 91 to the Mariners. There was a little bit of a rumor of him coming back to school to play with his brother. Again, I saw peak Griffin Hughes against Columbia, so I'm a little bit biased, but this is another really, really great pick.
I'm looking at the third round right now, and let me tell you some of the picks. Like, there's a bunch of picks right now I can look at and be like, that's going to be a steal. Kyle Oates, steal. Jay Cook, steal. Carmichael, steal. Morris, steal. Ianson, Elwinger, Curley, Austin, Morrison, Frey. Like, that is a loaded third round right there.
These feel like guys who 4 or 5 years ago would have been in that 30 to 50 range. Like, if all these prep guys aren't scared away and they end up going to college, that's where I kind of see a lot of these guys landing. Andrew, who is the biggest name that is still left on your board?
The biggest name that is still left on my board, I mean, the biggest name, I mean, I guess it's still Jack Bauer, but from what I've heard, it's more looking like he will probably be heading to campus. He'll be joining his crew at Mississippi State. Henry Ford for college guys, Henry Ford and Gavin Turley.
I was going to say Gavin Turley. Gavin Turley really surprises me. Just because
I thought he would have been.
His issue, because if you remember correctly, he was drafted pretty high out of high school, is he just didn't grow. And I think a lot of people said that he relied on the metal bat a little bit more. Colby Shelton, I think, is another name that's kind of really surprised me too as well.
Mason Neville from Oregon.
Yeah, I thought Mason Neville would have gone in like the 30s or 40s. Dickinson, I think we kind of all saw this.
I mean, it's just back half of the year. Like, I get that his hand was broken, but he just did not produce for LSU. We're talking about a guy that was their 3-hole hitter for majority of the year, and then the final game of the year he was their 8-hole hitter.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting dynamic, I think, with him. That's the one thing is because he didn't say that he had a hand injury. That was what I thought was so weird. Because I feel like that hurt a lot of his stock, but if you knew that he had broken his hand, it's like, okay, when his hand's not broken, he's going to be a pretty good hitter.
Yeah.
I did have an interesting stat I wanted to read off from 6-4 before we sign out, which I don't think this will be the case next year, by the way, based on how many of these guys are dominating at Team USA from the ACC. But we had 32 SEC guys, 13 ACC guys, 6 Big 12 and Big 10, 4 Sun Belt, 2 CUSA, and then 7 with one school. Tennessee headlines everybody with 8 picks per school. LSU, Florida State, and Arkansas have 4. If you include LSU commits, they have 7. OU, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt had 3, and 7 tied at 2. 4 portal players that were in the portal that remained uncommitted were taken tonight, again, via 6-4 Analytics. Henry Godbout, who was number 11, Ethan Conrad, Weideman, and Jimenez were all in the portal. Again, I think he is committed to Clemson, too, as well. But Colton Smith is still uncommitted. Andrew Wiggins is still uncommitted. Tanner Thatch, Chris Arroyo remain uncommitted. I think Chris Arroyo goes sooner rather than later. I think he just doesn't have a ton of leverage.
I mean, it also doesn't matter about the Team USA guys if they're losing every game. They haven't won a game. This is an ACC. We're an SEC podcast, but yeah. I mean, I guess it really does just mean less in the United States that our 6 ACC guys in our lineup.
We didn't send our best, and this is what happens when we don't send our best. I think this is going to be like, next year is going to be like Beijing, China in the NBA.
I mean, what do you mean? We got Drew. We got. Let me pull up the lineup because
this is like 2004 France when we went to the Olympics and lost.
Okay.
It's Chris Rembert from the SEC. Burris, Ryder Helfrich.
You see. Burris is ACC, Georgia Tech. I'm pulling up the box score right now if it lets me. I wouldn't be surprised if. Okay. Rembert is, I don't think he's draft eligible, but
he's a freshman.
Rock next year, potential 1-1. Ace Reese next year, potential top 10 pick. Drew Burris, that's the potential top 5 pick next year.
Yeah, top 3.
Ethan Norby, that's a potential first-round pick next year. Ojeda, isn't Ojeda still in the portal?
All right, Andrew. Before we go, I got one more question for you. Give me your top 3 next year, right off the top of your head.
Top 3 next year. I mean, I don't know anything about prep for next year. But top 3 going off the top of my head, I'm going in order. I'm going Rock Chalowiski from UCLA. Number 2, I will go. Oh, there's another shortstop I should be thinking of, but or it's Drew Burris probably, and then I'm going to go Derek Curiel from LSU.
Interesting. I'm going to go Rock 1, Burris 2. And Caden Sorrell at 3.
Yeah.
Caden Sorrell.
Yeah.
Andrew, that's all we have time for. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in for about the last hour, 15 minutes. This has been Southern Fried Baseball. I want to give a quick shout-out to our sponsor, Chinook Seedery. Best seeds in the market. Use code CBC15 to get 15% off all of your seed needs, everything from Cinnamon Toast Crunch to Hatch and everything in between. Chinook has you covered. And also want to give a shout-out to our other sponsor, Washed Up Goods, making it non-toxic laundry. That's the new standard. Available on Amazon and in some storefronts at Walmart. Washed Up Goods has all your non-toxic laundry needs. Andrew, See you tomorrow, man.
See you tomorrow.